From Ybor City, where it all began, on 17147th Street in the Chillum CBD dispensary, the first and only, across the street from the Licata House. We are going to jump into the rotation. Cue the titles.
Oh shit! He screwed up the board, Gary.
See, don't try this at home. We are semi-professional.
Yeah, the disclaimer here is that I'm not a sound engineer or even really a podcaster. I'm just a guy that owns this hemp store and has been helping with normal for quite some time. And when you knock the table like that, sometimes the wire falls out, and I freaked out a little bit.
Okay. Then I'll try not to do that next time.
Yeah.
I'll just do, how about that?
We'll find something you can hit. You can like punch me in the arm or something.
No. Give me an MMTC CEO so I can just punch him in the arm just once. you pick one. I'll take it on.
Does it have to be a him or her?
Anyways, my name is Gary. I'm the political director here at Suncoast Normal with my executive director Chris Cato down here from the Beltway and on vacation. I suppose actually it's a high school reunion, isn't it?
Yeah, I had my 20th high school reunion this weekend, so. It doesn't seem like 20 years has gone by, but yes, I feel like an elder statesman walking around town.
Now, at my high school reunion, I actually took somebody else's name tag and put it on just to see if anybody would really recognize me and say, that's not you? But no one did that. Why is that?
That's too funny.
And the guy I call Carlos, whose real name is Pedro, from what I understand, because he's running for mayor of Tampa, and I saw a vote for Pedro t-shirt in his closet.
He just started calling me Pedro, and I don't think he realizes that Pedro's Mexican, and I'm Cuban.
No, I do. That's why I pissed you off with that. Anyways, we have some special guests here that are brought here today by our executive director, Chris.
Absolutely. So we have Tiffany from Bliss Wellness Market. Tiffany, tell us a little bit about Bliss Wellness and what y'all do, where y'all located.
Hey, good morning. Yeah, so we're Bliss Wellness Market. We're out on North Del Mabry Highway, and we are everything cannabis, functional mushrooms, and adaptogens. So a boutique wellness environment, if you will. I like to say we're the Nordstroms of the hemp wellness world.
Very nice, very nice. And then, of course, we have another special guest on the show today, Emily Elegado, a.k.a. the Ink Mistress, who you may have seen on reality TV and such, master artist. Emily, how are you doing today?
I'm really good. Thanks for having me on. I really appreciate this opportunity.
Oh, well, we're glad to have you. And I'm glad to know that you're
a real-life celebrity on our hands here.
You know? Usually we just have politicians on the show and whatnot. We like having real-life celebrities.
They are just shallow. Most of the time.
We'll see how it goes, right?
Well, on today's show, we wanted to really dive into more about culture. Our show's really heavily on politics, and cannabis culture is really what drives the motivation behind all the political work that we do. Because in the grand scheme of things, people just want to have a good time. They want to live well, and they want to express themselves. And, Emily, there's no bigger self-expression than to, utilize the body as its own art canvas. And I mean, you're a master artist at that. So what got you into just, getting into tattooing in general, and what inspires your art today?
Honestly, I've wanted to do this since I was a little kid. There's like this story in the family that 6, 7, 8 years old, Easter, everybody's finding the little eggs and they're filled with coins and fake tattoos. And I traded all of my coins for everyone else's fake tattoos and ran around for the rest of the day covered in all kinds of funny things. So my parents knew they were screwed from then on. So, but it took a really long time for me to find the right shop and get an apprenticeship and, do it the right way instead of just, buying a machine and hitting up friends and stuff. So went about it the safe route, and I've worked really hard. I've been doing it for almost 14 years now.
That's awesome. just looking at the type of just society that we live in today, reality TV is such a big part of it. You had the opportunity to be able to have that experience in life. I mean, tell us what we see on camera versus what's actually happening, cooking the sausage and making the show. How different is that? You know, the actual reality of the show versus what we get to see on the little box.
It's kind of funny. I always tell people the things that you think were probably the most scripted and the things that you think were probably the most natural are in all reality absolutely vice versa. There's not that anything was scripted, but you know, they're filming a TV show, so they're going to guide you into scenarios. They're going to put people that maybe you don't necessarily get along, like their style, what have you, and you know, so it's a guided tour of television. I'd never call it fake. It was all quite real. There was a lot of real emotion in it. It's also very stressful. It's you said having the opportunity to be on reality TV, and oh man, I look back on it and I honestly question whether or not I would do it again. Not because of filming necessarily, but because of the recompense and things that happened afterwards.
So was it a matter of integrity?
I'm sorry, say it again.
Was it a matter of integrity?
Um, I mean, it's it's all quite convoluted, and I wish more people understood
So
the
confused, I
reality of
guess,
it.
Gary.
Well, we do have a family friend whose son is an extra out in Los Angeles. And he was on the, what's it called, My Worst Tattoo or something like that, where people talk about the worst tattoo they ever had. And anyways, we found out later on that he was one of the ones they showed in some of the smaller clips, but his tattoos were actually drawn on.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Okay, there you go. Like you said, you never know. Reality is real. What's fake?
All right.
What is reality if not real?
Emily, I got a question for you. So, how many? So, I know this is going to be like a really huge fucking number, okay? But if you had to estimate, maybe like 10,000, 50,000 tattoos, how many have you done in your career?
I try to ballpark it somewhere between 10 and 20, I think would be a healthy estimate.
20,000, right?
Yeah.
Okay, of that number, what percentage were like marijuana related tattoos?
Almost
question.
none.
Almost none?
I think honest to God, I think I've
Whoa.
done maybe one little bud hidden in something. Like it was,
Really?
I never really, there isn't much of a call for it. I
Yeah.
wish there was. I know a lot of people that do really great cannabis related tattoos, microscopic views and all that kind of stuff. Really cool work. But me personally, I just never had the opportunity.
That is an interesting thing for you to say, and it's actually like a part of the reason why I'm happy to have Tiffany on the show today, is because that honestly shows that there's like a lack of like when people go to a tattoo shop, right, and they're like, oh, I want a fucking heart, or I want this symbol,
Right.
or I'm drunk and I'm hammered and I love this symbol or whatever, right? Or you know they put a lot of thought into their tattoo. There's also those tattoos where like you study the tattoo for like years and you really put your thought into it. And you consult with several artists and you do this whole thing, right? But I really feel like the tattoos people get is like a representation of our culture. It's like what's popular, what's in the now of our culture. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So to hear that there is not that many like marijuana tattoos being done, I think it's important for people like Tiffany to be around to like really spread this culture that we're here to promote.
Now I think that you need to come over here and give Carlos a tattoo of a Delta 8 THC molecule.
Go for it. We'll set something up.
Yeah, I'm down. I like tattoos. I saw your a lot of your work on your Instagram and like on your Twitter and whatnot, your Facebook. And you do really good work. You really do. And you know, me and Ken, I will admit that I haven't watched Ink Master's show.
You don't have to, really.
But me and Ken did some research a little bit before the show. I heard him talking to you about it. And yeah, you do some really really good art, and it's true that from a little bit I heard, like when you were saying, like you're really known for doing any style of tattoo. So that's kind of a good thing to hear, at least to gauge how marijuana and culture are being done. Because I mean, you do it all. You know, what I
Right.
mean, anybody can come to you for a tattoo.
Yeah.
If,
Yeah.
if I
Absolutely.
want a pot leaf, I can get you to do it. You know.
Absolutely.
So, or if I want
In many different
some
styles too. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
or if I want some cool intricate bud or whatever, if I want the this whatever this fucking thing tattooed on me, I can get that fucking thing tattooed on me. Right? You can do that.
Carlos,
Yeah.
are you gonna get a man injecting marijuana into someone? That's what that poster said.
Yeah, as long as we include that spelling, I'm all about it.
I have to wonder if tattooing was as big back in like the Reefer Madness days, that like people were like getting like Reefer Madness tattoos.
I think
Maybe Louis Armstrong had like a little cannabis bud.
I mean, it's just like now everybody knows somebody that's got like a little weed related tattoo of some kind, But here's the thing: the only reason that I don't think that they're as popular as we would want them to be, first and foremost, because I would love to tattoo cannabis leaves all day long. Nothing would make me happier. But I think it's really, we have to remember that it is on you for the rest of your life. And so if the government goes screwy Louie and decides to just full stop and reverse all of this, God forbid, of course, and I don't even think that's fully possible. But as I'm saying it, would you want to have that stamped on you? So I think that's kind of a part of it too. I think that's what limits a lot of the people being interested in that kind of a tattoo.
Although I haven't really watched Masters, I'm pretty sure you haven't listened to the rotation. So, so one thing I do want to point out is that one thing with the three of us that comes up a lot is religion. And one thing that has like come into my mind is I'm the atheist of the group. I don't believe in God or anything like that, and I have like this philosophy background. So like I've always wanted to get a tattoo that says God is dead, Nietzsche, and and that's one thing that you're talking about. I never got it because I'm gonna shock it. I'm sure there's people listening or watching right now that are shocked to hear that I want to get God is dead on my skin. You know what I mean? And I don't want to freak people out. I don't want to have that conversation. And it seems like marijuana is still that thing in our society.
People don't realize that Jesus had a tattoo of the Virgin Mary on his back. That's why he always wore the robe so nobody would see it.
Jesus was not from Tijuana. I'm pretty sure he did not have La Virgen de Guadalupe.
I think you should also get tattoo. You need to give Carlos a tattoo that says "Not Pedro" across his neck.
So actually, I'd like to put the spotlight on Tiffany for a second.
Absolutely.
We've kind of like we got this like neat experiment going on where like we're really exploring into culture and we're doing it through tattoos and whatnot, and we're really finding out that cannabis is still kind of stigmatized. It's we get this whole you've got the store, your store, Bliss Wellness, Tiffany, and I've got Chillum over here, and I'm on the side of the road on 7th Avenue. And we're doing dabs, and we got like all these pipes, and we're like all in your face and shit. And it's easy for people like that do what we do to kind of like forget, like because like I'm around marijuana all day. I'm around it in some way or form. You know what I mean? I remember like when medical marijuana didn't pass in Florida, like it was 2014.
Yeah.
I was like, what the fuck? I was like, everybody that I know wants to vote for this. Yeah. So we're stuck with a hard task here, and I just want to hear your thoughts of like how we can promote it and how we can keep going and really what normal is about, normalizing.
Yeah. I think the last 6 months and really Delta 8 in Florida has blown things up. We specifically opened the store originally more like in North Tampa because of the aging population that was there. And we were really afraid to have kind of flower and some of the smokables, that it would be a turnoff to the local community. And I think COVID just flipped everything upside down, and people looking for like, hey, I don't trust things anymore. I want to take in control. If there's something natural that is going to help me sleep, that is going to calm my kids, that is going to give me a break from the 4 kids I got at home trying to teach and do whatever, I'm open to whatever it is. And it has been such a 180 from that standpoint. Our store, we've got a full flower bar, HHC, THCO, THCV, every combination that we can come up with, and everyone's open to it. I work really closely now with mothers, and they're like, look, if you can get my kid off of this medication and this medication and this medication, I will try anything that is natural, and really like has more belief. So, I think it is definitely changing, and it's just more about getting people to talk about it instead of it like being kind of like a hidden secret. I mean, I'll tell you what, it tickles me so much. On Friday nights, I get 60-year-old couples that have never tried THC marijuana before, and they're like, oh, but I just like this drink or this edible and it's great, and this is our date night, is them coming, and I'm like, well, this is THC. Oh, well, okay, that's great. If it makes me feel this way, it's fantastic. So it's like one little piece at a time. But the last 6 months, I think is really exploding things. And that's really why we were excited to partner with Emily for the upcoming Bill and Arts Tattoo Convention. Just women in the industry. She created some artwork for us that's advertising our Cannibalist Lounge at the Tattoo Convention. And all of the proceeds from the sales of the stickers and bags are actually all going out to the Suncoast Normal. So just raising awareness from a visual perspective.
Thank you so much for the generous donation from both you all putting this together and contributing to the culture. And Tiffany, that's part of it. Is the culture has been able to move forward and into the mainstream because of people like yourself, because of people like Carlos, who as entrepreneurs are taking really big risks to come in this and normalize the sector. And I mean, we were just setting up here on the show earlier, and like 3 TPD officers walked by, and we waved at them. And if you could tell me 10 years ago that would be a reality, I'd call someone a bold-faced liar.
Yeah. We were at a Gasparilla Music Festival for 3 days, and then out at Oktoberfest at Curtis Hickson Park, and lighting up everywhere. They let everybody light up, and we talked to the cops, and they're like, look, what you're doing must be legal, or you wouldn't be out here, selling it and smoking it. And,
That's
we
an
don't know the
amazing
difference
thing.
from one or the other. And, so they went with it, no complaints at all whatsoever. It was really pretty cool to experience.
Yo, I also want to make a comment that I like to see. You guys, Tiffany just made a comment that women promoting women in the industry, and that is a great thing. I remembered right away, Emily. I saw on your show the first comment I saw from a man was like, "Oh, she uses her looks to be better at tattooing," and it's like, yo, those two have nothing to do with each other. Like, I saw your tattoo work before I saw your face, and I was like, oh, she's good. And it's got to be difficult because this guy's obviously, and then he goes on some like weird, I don't, if you're watching right now, whoever you are, I'm sorry. But he goes on this weird raid about like how he was like this realist artist, and now he's going into surrealism, and I'm like, oh, that's kind of like a natural progression. And you're kind of just hating on a woman, and
it's a matter of aesthetics. If Sheldon Adelson was a tattoo artist and he stripped down to his Speedo and showed off everybody his tattoos and then tried to get customers that way, would he be more successful than her?
Would he?
Well, let's remember that Sheldon Adelson had a very close resemblance to what is that?
Why would he get naked and have tattoos?
I am just saying it's aesthetics.
Okay, I got you there.
It's not so much, a sexual thing as it is an aesthetic thing.
I got you.
Sheldon Addison is gross.
Well, he has a very close
If he
resemblance
donates billions of dollars to keeping marijuana from being legal, yes, that's gross to me.
Well, yeah, but
nothing more gross than
he also has a
I'm
resemblance to
picturing,
Jabba the Hutt.
I'm picturing all these anti-marijuana tattoos all over Sheldon out at like he takes off.
he's got a note pot. He's got the deer lion
He's
tattoo
got
on his chest.
like a pot leaf with like the lion strike through on it.
You know, Tiffany, one thing that concerns me in all of this, you know, of us normalizing the cannabis culture is, like you said earlier, how swiftly the winds have changed. You know, right now they're flowing in a positive direction. A lot of the things that you all are doing as shop owners are regulated by the Department of Agriculture, because we have our first, you know, woman commissioner of agriculture in Florida, and we've seen this progress. You know, Nikki Freed gets it. And I'm concerned that, you know, she's running for governor, and I don't exactly know who's going to step up that has that positive outlook that's going to treat this. You know, I'm worried that we're going to get some good old boy to step in there and we're going to press reverse really hard, really fast. Does that concern you? And if so, what do you think we can do as a culture and as a movement to you know, continue down the path we're on?
Yeah, Nikki Freed has been, amazing. You know, Florida is such an interesting state. I mean, we're as like unique as you can get. I mean, you know, we're basically leading the country in medical marijuana sales, and you know, you hear how you know, Florida is a hybrid. I feel like, you know, they really want to benefit from both ends, keeping the public happy, keeping the money coming in from the medical industry. But you know, I think Florida has set the tone for the rest of the country with some of their labeling requirements, some of their packaging. You know, distributors had to change everything they did to actually sell to Florida. So, you know, I'm hoping some of those measures and legwork that is done, you know, there's special licenses that you can have in Florida that are not required, but, you know, so maybe they make those be required from now on, you know, to sell hemp, but that the, you know, the progress will continue because of that leadership role I think Florida has taken in terms of the rest of the nation. You know, even, I mean, it wasn't a year ago that tons of hemp manufacturers across the country had to redo all of their packaging to fit with Florida's standards that were the strongest in the entire country. So why would we want to go backwards? The state's making lots of money from the setup that we have. You know, there hasn't been you know, a lot of issues. So, you know, I'm hoping as we understand the hemp plant more and more and all the unique cannabinoids, and, you know, what do you do for happiness? You know, you use CBC, you know, as it gets even more beneficial to everybody and people understand it more, that we'll just continue in this sort of hybrid fashion, at least.
Well said.
Nikki Free for governor. I think that's where we're going to go.
Well, that's my thing though. Is like we need to find an agricultural commissioner. You know, because the governor has no real power over what y'all do right now. You know, the governor doesn't affect Bliss Wellness day-to-day operations. He doesn't affect Chillums, but the commissioner of agriculture does.
Yeah. I mean, it's scary, but I mean, I don't know. Who's running for agriculture?
Yeah.
Well, you know, it's about that time when we talk about politics on the show, so it's time for our moment of clarity.
And that is so much better of an intro than the one you had before, which I know darn well you are not going to play now, right?
What, this one?
You see how proactive I was?
I'm gonna have to erase that.
You gotta stop. But you see how proactive I was in it?
For nostalgia.
I gotta tell you, Pedro, that was just it's one like I'm willing to live without. But let's get to the brass tacks this last week. There was actually a extra movement in this Department of Health in that they actually published the rules, just the rules, for the applications for cannabis licenses here in Florida. After having so many years, it's been 4 now since they already said that they were going to have 4 more after every 100,000 and all that bit, and of course 1 license for the black farmers. And yet they hadn't done it for a long time. And this week they actually did put out the rules and the application, which is 70 pages, and the scorecard as to how you score it. What is not in those 3 documents is the when this is actually going to happen. It does say it's going to be a 5-day period, but they don't say when it's ever going to be, which is, I guess, not real surprised because it's already being challenged. And let me explain exactly why it is. Well, first off, we need to talk about why they had one single license for the black farmers. At the very beginning, we were talking about this industry. And when it first started out with SB 1030 in 2014, only had about 20,000 patients who could possibly fit the bill for anybody who's coming into the business. And yet they set up this whole situation where you had to have at least 400,000 plants and be in the nursery business for 30 years, and put out an application fee for $60,000 and have $5 million in the bank as a performance bond. And for that, all that for a 1/5 share of 20,000 patients as your entire customer base. I think you'll agree it'd be kind of hard to break even, possibly for 5, 6, 7 years. So the question was, why was there were actually 28 applications in the first place with such terrible restrictions, and a business which would obviously fail? And that was because they were forward thinking, and they realized it won't stay this way. Eventually, it'll become a medical market, and eventually there'll be a free market, and they will continue to move forward.
Free market.
That was the original intention.
Who lied to us and told us it was going to be a free market?
Oh, there was a whole bunch of them.
Was it Matt Gates?
Yeah, that was one of them. Yeah, all those guys in corporate who were talking about free market issues and things of that sort. But
I don't believe anything the Florida GOP says when it comes to saying it's a free market, because nothing in Florida seems to be free. As much as they want to regulate cannabis and regulate what we put in our bodies, they want to regulate what women do with their bodies. I don't feel the freedom here in Florida so much.
So the question is this
At least
defined?
we could shoot somebody when they come on our property.
That's the only freedom you really got in Florida, is to shoot someone who steps on your property, and that's
Castle doctrine.
All right. And there's like lots of meth in Florida, apparently.
Pensacola.
Mostly in the panhandle.
We're not going to get into that. But anyways, we've been waiting for these extra dispensaries to come online since there was a medical market, because when 2017 came around, the law was made. They went ahead and set this whole process up to get more licenses in there. But by that time, they were still working on the problems of the 2015 of applications. And in fact, they went through the entire process where it ended up that 22 out of those 28 were given a license, even though I would say at least 15 of them were not really ready to be able to grow cannabis in any way, shape, or form, either monetarily or with land use or things of that sort.
So, Gary, if I could summarize for our listeners, you're basically telling me that the legislature screwed the pooch in how they designed the system and implemented it, and then the bureaucrats screwed the pooch because, well, when do bureaucrats not screw up in our country? And then, since they were all political appointments, they were all, doing basically what the governor at the time, Rick Scott, was telling them to do. And, then DeSantis comes in, and I don't know. He looks like a clean-cut Harvard Navy boy, but I heard through the grapevine he smokes a lot of reefer in Congress.
That is very, very possible. I mean, that makes a lot of sense as far as the House is concerned. With their attitudes are, we're not going to accomplish anything this year. We'll just kick back and watch for a while. Yeah, which sounds like a very indica moment to a lot of people.
So the politicians set up an ineffective, corrupt system, and then come to find out, black folks ended up getting excluded out of it because of racism.
Well, yeah, a lot of folks think that the
It's almost so simple.
A lot of people outside the cannabis industry say the cannabis industry originally appropriated black culture, and then when the corporations came in, they're now appropriating white culture. And that is basically the way it's going right now. And that means that these button-up, white-collar corporate types seem to be taking over, and they knew that kind of thing was going to happen.
They don't have any integrity.
that people wonder whether the black farmer's license was issued, the rule was issued first, or that crazy thing about the 300 plants on the bed. That came second, partly in response to the first.
So small mom and pop nurseries wouldn't be able to get in because they can't grow 500,000 plants.
Let's do a very quick history of black farming in this country right now. There was a major downturn in black farms and black farming since 1910. Approximately 97% of their acreage has been lost due to predatory lending, over collateralization, high interest, and having multi-generational situations where each time they would lose more and more land when if they died intestate and they gave land to the heirs, many of which didn't farm, and so the farms became smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller.
I can speak, I mean, as a millennial, I can't speak as a black person, but I can definitely speak as a millennial that the credit system in this country prevents a lot of people from, getting into business. The fact that you have to go to a bank for a loan and, the loan system in itself, time and time again has been proven to be systemically racist. Every company from Wells Fargo to J.P. Morgan Chase has been called to the carpet on it.
Absolutely, and it really doesn't stop. Now, the way they set up the original bill, you had to be in the business for 30 years. You had to have been in nursery since 1987. Well, since between 1993 and 2003, which is where I have data from, approximately 94% of all black farmers lost all or part of their land. And that includes in Florida. And also, when you talk about 400,000 plants, you really need to have about 50 acres. Well, right now, about 85% of the black farmers in the place have less than 50 acres.
So even to qualify on the original application, probably less than 10% of black farmers in Florida would even qualify.
Exactly right.
Wow.
And the question is, with what little money they have, and with the fact that most black farmers are getting a $4,000 subsidy from the government, whereas the white farmers are getting $10,000 from the government. And in fact, the black farmers oftentimes get their money towards the end of the season, so they don't get a chance to even use the help harvesting. There's obviously been continual systemic racism within the USDA and the whole situation in regards to helping farmers move forward.
Yeah, I recall, the lawsuits, the Pickford lawsuit against the USDA and such. It's shocking to think that even in the late 21st century, as far as the 90s, the systemic racism is still being called to carpet, and it still exists to this day. I mean, looking at where we're at in this society, people so often don't want to talk about it. They want to act like, oh, well, we solved it. We live in a post-racial America, but the systems which continue to drive the inequality between different socio-economic groups, different demographics, exist, and we're seeing it in the cannabis industry. We see it in farming. We're seeing it in banking, and it's all interrelated. So I just want to take a pause from the politics for a moment and go back to our guests. And talk a little bit about diversity in the different industries that each of them are in. Emily, I'll go to you first. As an artist, you obviously see a diverse group of clients.
Mhm.
And people have different melanin contents. The skin itself is different. How do you find tattooing on different groups of people? Like, do you see that there's different techniques you need to use versus darker skin, lighter skin, melanin content and such?
No, it's not so much different techniques as far as different melanin levels in the skin. It's just having a conversation and being really comfortable and real with your client about what the expectations should be out of this tattoo. Because obviously melanin wants to fight tattoo ink. It's there for a reason. And so certain colors will show up brighter or darker depending on how much there is in said person's skin. It's you can put any color in it. I always tell people, I'll put any color you want in the world. I just can't guarantee what it's going to do. So yeah, it's interesting working with skin in different shades and tones and age too, and prematurely aged skin, like living in Florida as we do. So many people are sun worshippers and really just don't do a good job of taking care of their skin. So they'll be my age but have the skin of like a 65-year-old, because they just worship that sunshine. So that can prove to be more of a challenge in reality than any amount or lack of melanin in someone's skin.
Yeah, I know a lot of young ladies who got that. I'm not going to call it a tramp stamp, but it's super brutal tattoo that they got when they were in their 20s. That by the time they were in their 60s, they all look like seagulls. I'm just saying.
Gary, have you been hanging out Paradise Lakes and Caliente? I'm just wondering where you're seeing these 60-year-old ladies.
Yes, I live in Pasco and I drive by Caliente all the time, and I wonder, should I go over there and count the tattoos? That's what I do.
Yeah. Well, next to Tiffany, I wanted to go over to you. We were talking about earlier about gender diversity in the place, but you being over in North Tampa and such. I mean, I'm sure you get a diverse customer base, or I know you talked about the older couple. What do you see a diversity in your customer base? I know Carlos sees a wide swath of people down here in Southern Avenue.
Yeah, no, definitely different than what you guys are getting out there in Killam and the vibe and energy out in Ybor. But yeah, we actually have a pretty diverse, definitely, I'd say more of the 30 and up, which is awesome. I mean, really, again, sort of speaks to Florida's going in the right direction. But it's all races and ages, and I'd even almost say more female than male, to be honest.
Now, it was interesting. Carlos, by the way, has a tattoo shop next door.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody knows about it.
Untitled Tattoos.
And what was kind of interesting is that a lot of people, when they go to get the tattoos, as soon as they get that plastic wrap on them, they come right over to chill them.
Yeah.
So you can recommend.
There's actually there's 2 points they come in. They come in for an edible and a quick dab before the tattoo.
And then afterwards.
And then afterwards they come in for more.
Yeah.
It's just a very symbiotic relationship.
Yeah. Tiffany, do you see it? Like, what kind of businesses are around you? Diversity of businesses as well, in your location.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
Yeah, I know there's a diversity of businesses down here in Ybor. What kind of businesses do you have around your location? We were just talking about the tattoo shop fees.
Yeah.
What do you have over there in North Tampa?
We not as much tattoo shops. I think the closest one is a couple, definitely several miles away. So we're like smack in the dabble of right in the middle of suburbia almost. So we've got nail salons and physical therapists and restaurants, and it was actually kind of hard for us to find a location that would take our store. And this was 2 years ago. Most places in North Tampa did not want us there. But I now have strip malls calling us, weekly with open spots and very, come on down. So I think that's where my perception of change has, come from that. And that was, kind of also why we were excited to partner with the Villain Arts and Emily for the upcoming tattoo convention, is to, sort of vibe off of that, artistic energy that, comes with it, and get out of sort of these suburbs of North Tampa. So.
When you have the last picture show over there, is that what they still call it over there? Or?
Last picture.
Yeah, it's a place where you sit down and eat and watch movies and things of that sort.
Like a Cinnabistro.
Yeah, kind of like a Cinnabistro.
Yeah.
And then up the street from your place, there's probably the best hydroponic store in the state, practically.
Yep. Yeah. Urban Roots, I believe, is the
Urban
name
Roots,
right there.
fantastic.
Yep.
Urban Roots is nice. I like how they
Zach
do.
over there is the man.
Yeah, they do customer appreciation events and whatnot. And Tiffany, we were looking at you all at Bliss Wellness are slated for a number of events here in the Bay Area, but the big one is coming up this weekend, Villain Arts. Tell us more about the Villain Arts convention and why folks should bother coming out to it.
It's Villain Arts.
Yeah, so it is actually one of the largest tattoo conventions in the country. Most of the artists are actually booked that are going to be there, and they're coming from all over the world. The repertoire of a different caliber of artists that are going to be out there, amazing. So we are building out the Cannibalist Lounge for relaxing, you know, some of that nervous jitters of getting a tattoo. So you can come on by, take a shot of our Delta 8 Bliss nectar, gets in you in about 15 minutes, and, you know, experience some of the different vapes and strains, or just hanging out. There's going to be performers out there. We're going to have some massage, chair massages going, you know, a lot of samples of everything. So just merging the two kind of cultures and synergies that can build. So the convention is at the Tampa Convention Center Friday, Saturday, and Sunday coming up. So yeah, we're pretty excited to be out there.
Yes, that's a nice venue too. I brought my daughter over there to Comic-Con because she wanted to meet all those folks out there who she had to have adult, you know, with her, that kind of thing. But it's a great venue. And hopefully you will also have a little case full of cushy cakes in there. That's just our personal favorite.
Yeah, we have been teaming up with a bunch of local bakers. So, you know, who makes the best brownies in the city? Well, we've been supplying them with our distillate. So we've got the cake girl who's baking 500 milligram brownies for us that'll be out there. We've got Jack, Revival by Jack. She, I met her at the gym, does protein cookies, these monster cookies.
I'm sorry, you said 500 milligram brownie?
Oh, yeah. We got 500 milligram brownies. We've got 500 milligram stuffed cookies. So if you can imagine a donut, a Oreo, then baked into a marshmallow cookie, 500 milligram monster stuffed cookies, but it's got protein in there also. And
it's like a CBD turducken.
Carlos is a vegan or a vegetarian, so I know he'll definitely love to jump on that donut Oreo marshmallow.
That's like,
provided you don't use lard.
That ass Tiffany, I counted that there's 4 things in there that I love, just in one thing.
That's awesome.
One of those things, there's 500 milligrams of it.
Yeah, well, that's what's awesome is that you know, we can use the hemp plant and get some of those higher concentrations. I was actually listening to one of your older podcasts that was talking about, like, you know, the gummies in some places when you got to eat a whole bunch and, you know, just to feel anything. So you know, there's enough of a variety, so that is not an issue.
Yeah, it's a lot of people don't realize that. Like, really, like,
yeah, they don't at all.
The idea behind a 500 milligram brownie, some people hear that and like, oh my God, this person's just trying to get messed up.
No, they came in there because they were messed up.
But there's a good possibility that they're really fucking sick and they need 500 milligrams in order to feel better. Like, they're not the average person. The average person, maybe 10 milligrams gets themselves, maybe it doesn't. You know what I mean? But I mean, somebody who's really sick, somebody who's really got some stomach issues, somebody that's been medicating for their stomach issues, or they're for a long time.
Yeah.
You know, and has built up that tolerance, needs that higher milligram. So thank you for providing that.
Yeah, and you know, we talk about chronic debilitating conditions, right? Like that's spurred the medical marijuana market, but you know, the mental health aspect, you know, Gary has commented on this many times, was not really written into the bill. So folks who need to use cannabis and cannabinoids for their mental health, you know, oftentimes are left out of being able to seek relief in the medical marijuana market. Mm-hmm. So Tiffany, you feel a real niche for just wellness and mental health. Tell us a little bit about like the type of customers you get. You know, do you have folks coming in there looking for products to help with anxiety or managing? You know, it's just, hey, look, I got a big presentation in the morning. You know, 100 milligram gummy will do it for you.
If I may make a request for your answer, Tiffany, can you lean more towards the mushroom side of things? Because you said
yeah. So I will say mental health is probably the largest growing category of people who are walking through the door, and the age range is so wide inside of there, and there is definitely other adaptogens and mushrooms that you can combine with the hemp plant and the different cannabinoids to help. Again, if it is if it is anxiety, there's ashwagandha, there's the reishi mushrooms, there, is different blends of magnesium that with L-theanine that you sort of use CBD as the steroid to kind of ramp it up and make it stronger. But there's, a lot of alternatives that can help it, that not change your personality, that a lot of the chemical based stuff does. But I think mental health is the largest growing population that is turning to marijuana, to cannabis, the mushroom world. I mean, the mushroom world is going to explode in the next 2 years as more states are looking at microdosing and psychedelics. We don't do any of that, but we've got turkey tail mushrooms, lion's mane mushrooms, cordyceps mushrooms, 2 different types of reishi mushrooms, and the different blends. I mean, I believe possibly we could have mushrooms are what started, populated starting the earth. I don't think we know what mushrooms do yet at all. We've just scratched the surface of the power of mushrooms.
MAPS has done some fantastic studies in regards to mushrooms, especially in psilocybins and psilocybins. But the science is now growing because the interest is now growing.
Well, and we see psilocybin in the magic. Folks who don't know the scientific term for the magic mushrooms, but you don't have to utilize them as a hallucinogen. You can microdose, and they work really well as an anti-anxiety, antidepressant. I mean, in the DC area, they're decriminalized much in the same way cannabis is. So you can, go get you a can of mushrooms for stickers, just like you can get you an eighth of cannabis for some stickers.
So yourself some McKinsey.
It's just interesting to see all the different hoops that folks jump through. And Tiffany was talking about it earlier, about here in Florida. We have interesting regulations, some of the most strictest in the country as far as packaging and labeling. Because people always say, "What about the kids? What about the kids?" And Tiffany, tell us about the level of professional standards you institute, because I know that's always a concern. Is the kids are going to get off from high school and they're going to walk into a dispensary.
Yeah, well, you got to be 21 and up, and we look at it as like an alcohol and a bartender, and if you don't card somebody, you're liable. So it really just has to be treated in that manner, and child-proof packaging on things. It's large warning labels. We stick extra cards and warning things on anything that has psychoactive properties, with it. So it's going to be a part of our lives, I feel like, and more, just as alcohol is. So I don't understand really why alcohol should be treated any differently, so you put a warning label on alcohol, you have to be carded. Some places you can't enter, if you're underage, and that's how we treat the cannabinoid industry as well.
Yeah. And with bartenders, there's a level of training that goes into it. What kind of training do you provide for your staff? So you like to see a diversity of folks coming in and asking questions who may not be familiar with the plants.
Yeah, so I look at our staff as sort of like our tribe. I come from a medical background. My family is a neurologist, and my partner, his father is a neurosurgeon. I have a degree in biology. So educating, and I mean, to me, cannabinoids, it's like pure science. I mean, you should have degrees to be working with a lot of this stuff. So that's probably the hardest part, is educating the staff. So it's kind of like a movement program in terms of actually getting on the floor and answering questions, because a lot of people come with very with medical questions, but it's like being an herbalist. You go to Abby's, which is a great health food store, and there's specialized herbalists there who are going to, give you different recommendations. So that's the same thing with a bud tender who understands, which strain might help you more for chronic pain or for PTSD, or, again, is going to know that, even with women, CBDA can help with certain menopause relief, issues, or, hey, why don't you combine the mucuna bean, which is a natural form of dopamine, along with CBC, and that's going to be, helpful for depression or, coming off of different anxiety medications and going a naturalist route. So it's and there's a lot of online classes you can take, but it's really like being an herbalist.
Now, I find it interesting that we are working through a situation where most of us are actually grew up, and I hate using the expression, but having to do our own research because the actual word on these things as medicine and the naturopaths were few and far between. So it was hard for us to find a situation. Now we're in a situation where everybody's trying to do their own research, whether they actually have an academic background to understand what the heck they're looking at in the first place. So do you see people who believe they're educated, but when they come into your shop, you have to re-educate them?
Yeah, like I like to say sort of our shop is like we've done the homework for you. Like so you've done the research, you're into magnesium, and you're going to come out with all that stuff. But like, hey, here is the best form of magnesium, and the reason why it's the cleanest, it's going to have the most bioavailability. So we, like I like to say, we highly curated the cannabis and wellness world and put things together in pairings for you so that, if you're looking for sleep, this is the sleep section. If you're looking for help in the bedroom, this is our full intimacy section. So taking a lot of that research element out of it and doing the homework for people. We do 30-day money back guarantee on everything. It's people's health. So if it's not working for you, bring it back. We know our product and the quality is there, and then it's like, then it's just not right for your body chemistry, and you get such little returns. It's amazing, because look, the stuff works. That cannabis plant, the hemp plant, marijuana, it works. Mushrooms work. It's just getting quality product and figuring out the right, whether you need a microdose. Some people, they absolutely need small doses throughout the day, and it gets them through versus one large dose in the morning, and that sets your day off right. And, and then you're okay, or it's at nighttime. So it's kind of experimenting with our, your body chemistry.
Well, I just love the fact that what you're doing fills such a mainstream niche for folks to normalize this culture. I mean, you talked about products that help with, female conditions, issues that folks might have. You talked about, issues with intimacy. And I mean, thinking about where we were culturally just a decade ago, those are the type of things that, here in Tampa, you'd find probably in like an adult bookshop, or adult film shop. But now you have places like Bliss Wellness, you have places like Chillum where you can be separated from the underground culture, and you can embrace your own health and wellness, without having to go to some seedy adult bookstore to pick up intimacy pills or find energy drops, to help you get through the day.
And on the other side, you're not recommending anti-parasitics for people who do not have any parasites.
Yeah, so Tiffany, in case there are 3 master's degrees up on the stage. Gary's is in public health, mine's in public administration, Carlos is in business. But the one thing Gary cannot stand is people taking horse dewormer for COVID treatments. It drives them up the wall.
Or anti-malarial, for that matter. Yeah. Leave it to the folks who have malaria to use that. It makes sense.
So, but I think it's important, like you said earlier. You talked about your background and your family's background and credentials and stuff, and I think that's part of the mainstream of it. In society here in America, like nobody respects anybody without credentials in a lot of ways, and so you're coming to this business with credentials. You're coming to this business with a real scientific outlook on everything, and I think that helps normalize it. Like we were talking before about taking this from counterculture to the mainstream culture. So we appreciate what you're doing, especially in the area that you're doing it. You said it before, Carlos here in 7th Avenue, that's one type of culture. But North Tampa, I ran for state rep out in that area and knocked doors and the neighborhoods like Lake Magdalene and such, and
Yeah.
Lutz. So you're fulfilling a totally different niche than you're going to get here in Ybor City or out in East Tampa.
It's been an adventure. I will tell you, sort of getting in, but it's crazy. We do Tampa Moms events. We're at the Family YMCA 2 years ago. They would not have us at their turkey run. Oh no.
Yeah,
I know
we
what that
got
was
kicked out of an
seniors.
Earth Day event one time as a normal chapter.
Oh
Go
my
figure.
god, yeah.
For something that
No, but
grows out of the ground.
yeah, we're front and center now, and it's great. I mean, we did the Tampa Moms Fall Festival
Nice.
about 2 weeks ago, and I don't think they could be sort of prouder to show sort of like alternative, it more and more, again, especially with COVID, people are they don't people don't know what to do. Kids don't like going in crowds anymore. They don't they're having trouble sleeping. They don't want to go back to school with a lot of people. And if the hemp plant will help and it's not going to do any harm, they are open to it. And physicians are a little bit recommending or saying, I just don't think they know what to do, and they understand enough about cannabinoids. So that's kind of my sort of next tackling, almost, is I'm like, you almost need I don't want to say drug reps, but seriously, I guess a drug rep to go and educate the physician community so that they feel comfortable talking about it, because that's where a lot of the first questions are asked, whether it's in the psychiatrist or just wellness, practitioners.
Yeah. Well, that's how Carlos and I first met, was through cannabis education, and that was something that, as we were designing curriculum together, we saw that our medical schools in this country are severely underrepresenting the value of manipulating the endocannabinoid system in
Mm-hmm.
health and wellness, and not enough doctors are being taught. I mean, there's a few here in the Bay Area like Dr. Greg Herderman, who teaches classes and such, but you can count on one hand how many medical schools across the country actually take a deeper dive into, the cannabinoid therapy, when it is such a revolutionary form of therapy that we see in other countries like Spain, Israel, Italy, other European countries that are using this to treat everything from brain cancer to arthritis to everyday issues like just getting a good night's sleep. For
Mm-hmm.
me, as someone who I've gotten pretty big over the years and pre-diabetic. Getting up to go to the bathroom and getting a good night's sleep is a pain in the ass. Having to get up every 2 hours to use the bathroom. But in utilizing cannabis as a therapy, getting a 6 to 8 hours of solid sleep is just absolutely golden.
Amazing.
Yeah, and you talked about it earlier, is that you got a lot of millennial moms coming in with kids with issues. I mean, they dope the kids up with Adderall.
Mm-hmm.
It's the doctors, the mainstream docs. But then there's folks who are about health and wellness. If you could give a kid a CBD tincture to help them sleep at night because they've been hyped up on Adderall all throughout the day, I think that's definitely a big step forward in the community. And we appreciate you stepping up to fulfill that role.
Now here's a question I hope you have the answer to. And that is, of all the products you have there, do you see any hemp-related products that are being grown and processed and packaged here in Florida from the new hemp farmers who got their licenses only a few years ago?
Oh yeah. I'd say over the last 365 days, the amount of Florida hemp that is coming has definitely grown. I mean, I think Florida for CBD again has. I mean, there's processing places, part of all, popping up all over. We're part of the Florida Hemp Association and stuff. So I definitely think that there is a lot more Florida product being packaged, grown, extracted out here. We actually have a licensed hydroponic grow out in Lutz, just a baby grow, but kind of getting into that has, opened up relationships of seeing how much hemp is coming. I mean, it'd be great if Florida could keep as much, instead of kind of bringing in from all the other states, as much as possible.
Are you able to sell off your herd and vast biomass? Everything that's not seeds and leaves.
I'm so sorry, I couldn't.
I'm wondering, in your grow, are you able to sell off the biomass of the herd and the bast? The fiber and the bark, so to speak, as opposed to just the flowers, leaves, and seeds, where everybody else is making the CBD products out of those.
Yeah, no. So the biomass, the fiber content, and the leaves and all of that is amazing. Actually, so our how we kind of got into our hydroponics grow, there is a gentleman. His name is Marvin, who's been in the grow industry, not with hemp so much, doing microgreens. And his microgreens go to very high end, like the Ritz Carltons and stuff. And he got into growing the hemp because of the fiber content that he puts into these, super high end microgreens that are shipped all across the United States. And, so tasty, the blend that you get with the hemp leaf in it. You don't actually even have to use like salad dressing and stuff. So, I mean, the biomass is it's just a whole other, market and revenue stream that can be used in the, the wellness world. We've actually been tossing around doing a sort of local celebrity chef cannabis infused dinner for charity during the holiday seasons. And we've talked to a couple of different restaurants that are like dying to, and use the leaves for decor and, flavoring, from CBD all the way up to, the Delta 8 and, in different ways. So that's the biomass is a huge, I think growing market niche.
Yeah, I mean, this plant product has, we don't want to say necessarily endless, but there is such a diversity of uses and products that can be made. And that means there's a lot of money to be made. We just need folks brave enough to continue to step up on the public policy side of things and support that. And so, you all as business owners definitely continue to put pressure. We're glad you're a big part of the Health Alliance and such of, just being able to continue to put pressure on the Department of Agriculture to regulate this property and allow everyone to thrive and fulfill the roles that they're doing. Tiffany, with the Village Arts coming up again, tell everybody about Village Arts this weekend and where they can check out Bliss Wellness at the convention, and then where they can catch you when not at the convention.
Yeah, so Villain Arts Tattoo Convention is happening this Friday through Sunday, October 22nd through the 24th. You can come visit the Cannibalist Lounge out there. We've got some different types of products that the Emily, the Ink Mistress, has designed for hashtag Cannibalist, and all the proceeds go to the Suncoast Normal. And if you can't make it, come visit us out at Bliss Wellness Market. We're located on Northdale Mabry, just north of Fletcher Avenue. There's a big mural on the side of our building. I think one of the only murals actually in North Tampa, out on the side of the building. There's a big bee and flowers. So come check us out.
Cool. And what's your hours of operation when you open up there?
We are so we're 7 days a week, 10 a.m. to 7 p.m.
Fantastic. Well, check out Bliss Wellness and definitely the Cannibalist Lounge at the Tattoo Villain Arts Convention this weekend. Sounds like a lot of fun, and we really appreciate your support of Suncoast Normal and the movement. And we lost Emily here on the feed, but shout out to the Ink Mistress for joining us on the show today. So glad to have everyone really just stepping up to help build this culture. Tampa has a rich history of cannabis culture, and cannabis culture so often can get a bad rap when the forces that be are in power that don't support it. But it's nice to see people doing things the right way, supporting their community. And so big shout out to Bliss Wellness for supporting the cannabis community, and to Emily Elgato, the Ink Mistress, to supporting, and to all of you listening. Suncoast Normal is a membership-based organization. We're only as strong as our membership. So we ask each and every person, to contribute their time, their treasure, or their talent to Suncoast Normal to make it happen. And as you can see here, everyone here is really passionate about this. All of us in our lives have had a family member or a friend who have their lives touched in a certain way by a debilitating and chronic condition, which we've seen cannabis alleviate and give people a better quality of life, even in our own personal lives. And so that's why we continue to do what we do. We continue to fight for the patients. None of us up here at Suncoast Normal take a dime to do anything we do, which is
Not that we don't want to.
Gary wants that money.
Gary wants to make sure we got gas in the van so we can get up to Tallahassee
There you go.
to lobby and engage with our elected officials. Gary has been an amazing political director, bringing his public health expertise to each and everything that we do, and continue to push legislation that's going to benefit people. People so often think, oh, well, it's legal now and things are changing. But so often, like Tiffany said, you said it earlier, things can change so quickly. And we have so much more work to do with employment protections. People shouldn't be fired from their jobs for using cannabis as a wellness product.
Not at all.
People should not be discriminated against in their healthcare decisions because they use cannabis as a wellness product. Gary and I worked on a bill which will prevent people from getting kicked out of their nursing homes and getting kicked off of their pain management plans. And even worse, and the most egregious, people getting kicked off the organ donation transplant list for utilizing cannabis as a wellness product. So we have so much more work to do to protect patients here in Florida. And so, Tiffany, thank you and thank Emily for supporting that mission here at Suncoast Normal. We appreciate y'all. And we definitely want to invite you all to also become business members with us and definitely continue to support. We would love to work with you on some of these future events. I know you got some big events coming up and also small ones, which is awesome. The fact that you can do yoga with moms as well I thought was pretty cool. And then you got big things that are happening at the fairgrounds and such next month. So we appreciate you coming on the show, and we look forward to having you on again in the future.
Yeah, thanks, you guys. Can't wait to meet in person.
Indeed. Well, have a great one, and everyone jump into rotation next Sunday and each and every Sunday here with Suncoast Normal. Love and peace.
Yeah. Join Suncoast Normal at suncoastnormal.org. Bye.